Hey traders, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trading Radio with commentary on the week of May the 9th. Starting right off with the S&P 500, we had a week of selling, a lot of chop, and we're still inside of this ascending wedge. Okay, MACD has turned down, stochastics is moving lower. We did have a shooting star candle on Friday, and the 10 EMA is just above 20 EMA. We're sitting right on top of it. So the other thing you can look at is what was previously resistance could conceivably be support now. Okay, so this retest of the breakout area could be conducive to a move higher. The Nasdaq had a little bit stronger week. We had some tails here on these candles, and we did close back above the 10 EMA on the daily. So this is looking a little better. We do have basically an ascending triangle, which I'd be looking at for a break above higher. If it does break higher, I would be looking to trade mostly Nasdaq stocks. Okay. The Russell hasn't fared as well. We had this ascending wedge as well, and we broke down below that, the 20 and the 10, so a little bit weaker than the other indexes that we previously reviewed. And the emerging markets, the EEM, a little bit of a chopping range for the last, since the beginning of April, in between this range of 47.52 and 50. Okay, so I'm not looking to do a lot on the EEM in the way of trades. Jumping right over to the commodities and currency sectors, SLV had quite a sell-off over the past week since Friday. This topping pattern, a number of members were asking me what I thought about this move here, this move back to the 10 EMA, would I trade it? And I said no, currently I would watch this as getting a little bit parabolic, and I wouldn't be interested in trading this per se. Okay, looking at the weekly, you can really see this had quite a move higher. So I was looking for this to mean revert. We got a little bit more than that. We had Carlos Slim obviously trading out of silver very heavily. That was reported on CNBC. And Soros as well got out as Warren Buffett. Now, silver wasn't the end-all in this whole sell-off that occurred last week. However, it was a big part as well. So we need to look at the DXY, the currencies. Okay, and you can see that we had this nice descending channel, very orderly, and at the beginning of the week we started to see this basing out. We see these candles, these dojis, and then we had a substantially large move on Thursday where we headed back above the 10 EMA and closed at the 20. So Friday's candle breaking outside of this channel is something to watch going into this week. I'd be watching further weakness in commodities if the dollar continues to rally. Oil dropped considerably as well. As I mentioned on Thursday, I was into UUP, and I also added on Friday. I'm continuing to follow this as a hedge going into the next week, and may just continue to just let this ride because I do have June calls on this. Okay, that's you. Oil had quite a move this week as well. So you can see not only silver, gold, and oil, but other commodities got hit pretty hard as well. So I'm looking at this as being oversold, and we are getting into summer driving season. So we did hold right at the 200 EMA. Stochastics is pretty close to oversold, and I'd be watching this to see what happens with the dollar and oil, as well as the other commodities. Gold held up a little bit better, fared a little better than SLV and oil, but we did have quite a sell-off down to the 50 EMA. Stochastics is still pointing down, so there's a possibility this inside day here could spell trouble for gold going into the week. So I'll be watching any positions in the gold sector for some trades as well. One of the reasons why we saw some of these areas selling was something that Stephen Place over at StockTwits mentions a lot, which is the carry trade. Okay, DBB is a good comparison to look at with regard to the carry trade. This right here was the Japan drop, okay, with a tsunami and the intervention that occurred where they started buying up their shares, repatriation of the yen. We saw this move higher, and then we saw a really nice move lower. So the carry trade is off for the time being. We'll be watching this to see how this plays out as well. Along with commodities, the dollar, currencies, and the bonds, you need to keep an eye on what's going on in the bond market, which tends to have a cycle where summers do better than the winter months. It's just the inverse of the equities market, where equities tend to follow the adage, sell in May and go away. You have this basing pattern, and we're moving back up above the 200 EMA on the TLT. The municipal bonds also look pretty good. They're well above the 200 EMA in this ascending channel. So keep an eye on bonds and for trade, and then we'll jump on to some stocks. There's a trade that Johnny's looking at. This nice descending trend line. This is 100 EMA. I'm looking for this to trade into this box, possibly come down and test the 100 EMA for a trade if I'm going to take options. Okay, I'm noting this is oversold. You know that I trade the hourly and the 30-minute both. I'd wait a little bit longer for this to happen, just to get down oversold and turn back up again to get a move like this where we can shoot up and get a few points out of PLL for an options trade. Watch your 30-minute and your 15-minute. Okay? OTEX is another trade that I would consider for an options play as well. I like this move back down to the 50 EMA and this move off. We're currently sitting here. Oops, something happened. OTEX is another trade that Johnny's looking at that I would be interested in taking a long options position as well. This move off the 50 EMA with stochastics oversold. Again, what I'd be looking at is a 30-minute to get down to oversold. This could happen very quickly early in the morning to around 11 o'clock. I would be looking for an options entry at around 11 o'clock. See a little bit of selling or some divergence if this holds, the price holds up and the stochastics moves lower, for an entry on the 30-minute and watching the hourly. The hourly is showing that it could conceivably get back down here. Again, we could move lower, price could stay at this level, and we could get some bullish divergence. So keep an eye on that for a trade on OTEX. US Steel is something that we're currently in small. I only have 2 calls right now on the 45s and I believe the 50s. The 50s are still $1 intrinsic value in the premiums on the Junes. So I'm looking for this to move higher. I have 2 trend lines shown here only because this could be either a wedge or a channel depending on where you draw this. If we get a pivot point here tomorrow and move higher, then I'll draw this here. For the time being, this could be lower and we could see a move low before we move higher. Okay, I'm looking at stochastics for a move back. I'd like to see this get turn up and give us a cross to the upside. NVIDIA, we traded in and out of this, and remember what I mentioned about the NASDAQ. I'd probably trade this if it's back above this level here, as I mentioned before. Okay, so NVIDIA has been a nice trade right around the 50 EMA. That's all I'm going to say about NVIDIA. It's had quite a interesting range during the Wednesday to Friday move. We got our oversold stochastics move higher. We traded in here, and we got out on this early morning area here when we flagged out. Okay, so that is NVIDIA. Marvell is showing weakness. I may just take this trade off. It's not doing what I want it to do. So I do note that they had this trend line that we've kind of cruised along. It's a possibility this could trade back up, but for now I have May options, so I don't know how well this will do this week. If it's not hasn't moved by Monday or Tuesday, I might take this off and look to see if we get a move higher during the week. Maybe take the June options, okay, or some momentum off of the 30-minute. We're overbought now, so this could move lower. NVIDIA, by the way, has earnings, I believe, this week, so keep an eye on that for any trades you might be thinking about taking. That's going to be it for me for the week. I'll be watching a few other things that Johnny mentioned, but OTEX and PLL are two trades that I may take during the week. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trading Radio. Remember to take the 2-week trial if you're not a member already. And we can talk about trades like this in the room, when we actually get in them, and what our entry prices will be, and what options we're thinking about. Remember to take profits, and we'll talk to you later.